Hi, welcome back. We are working on our next signature. It will go on to, let's open this. It'll go here on page 1. Okay, it's going to have a couple of flaps to it. We'll get to those in a minute. Let's go ahead and let's start with the base page. Oops, got stuff here. So this is the piece I chose for the base page, and it measures 8 1/4 inches across by 8 5/8 in the height. The reverse side of this paper is the one that's got the mechanical elements. It's got the castle. It has the looks like the hot air balloon, and this looks like a bouquet of some sort flanked by a clock. But this is the side I wanted. So we're going to have a pocket here at the base. And this pocket trimmed out at 2 1/4 inches by 8 1/4, because that's the width to your base page. And this piece here came out of an A4 paper that I cut and trimmed to make the back side of these pocket pages. So this trimmed in here, and then I took that piece of paper we took out. We're making some elements using it. Back that onto blue cardstock. And then I chose this beautiful, beautiful tag. I just love the assembly and I love the colors. Now, again, I'm using a die that I have. You can use a punch. You can choose not to. You can use lace, ribbon, or a die of your choosing if you're not able to find these online. They're part of the Pink Fresh Studio Slim line dies, and I don't think they're making them anymore, but you can go ahead and do a search and see what you can find. So if you want to hold off on making this until you have further understanding on this, we'll be getting there in just a second. Okay, so let's go ahead. Take this backing off easier on my fingernails if I use this. Okay, I'm going to start right here in a corner and walk it across. And then put this down. And then I'm going to glue this in place. Now I'm taking this from the edge of the collection paper to the edge of the collection paper. And then we will glue this down into place. I'm going to canter it a little bit. Okay, and there we have our pocket page. All right, now your first 2 elements that we're going to create, I am using 2 of the cutout cards. One says the Tower and the other one says the Hangman. It doesn't matter which side you put these on, so that's going to be your preference. And then on the back side, I'm using that piece out of the A4 to cover it for your photo mat. You're going to cut 2 of these. Mine measure in at 4 1/4 with a 1/2 inch score by 5 1/2 inches. I'm going to put these on first, and then I'll put the paper down because I want to center them as best as I can. Oh, I just had a thought. No, that's okay. I thought about doing some, but I don't want to do it. Well, I think I will do that. Okay, so I'm going to bring this all the way to the top and right up to that 1/2 inch score. And then I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Bring it all the way to the top. Make sure it's on there straight or you're going to have the top edge showing through here. All right. On this side, I'm going to place, I guess it doesn't matter, tower. And these, again, came out of the A4. I'll turn this over and put on this one. Be careful not to place your paper on your hinge or your score line. All right, so now we're going to put this one on. And then we'll turn this over and we'll put this one on. There are some beautiful patterns in this collection. The designer did a wonderful job. All right, so here's your base page. You've got your photo mats. We've got kind of a matching pattern going on here. Now we're going to move to the first set of long flaps. Your right side is going to measure at 6 inches across. You're going to have a 1/2 inch score on this edge, and it's going to measure by the 8 3/4, which is the height. That doesn't sound right. And I cut those a little tall. That's okay. It's a good thing I don't have things put together. I can trim them down. Well, the base page is 8 5/8. This is too long. I'm going to trim this down. I'm going to put it on my big trimmer. I'll be right back. It should be at 8 5/8. Which means I'm going to have to trim my paper. And I've been rounding these internal pages with a 1/4 inch corner round. All right, I hope I didn't mess this up any. Oh no, that's much better. Okay, I'll just have to trim some of my papers as I go along. Okay. Now you're going to have, you built up some bulk here. We're going to have a little bit of pushback. So I want you to hold this down tight as you bring this up to that score line. Get it as snug as you can. And then you're going to really push this over so that you can get this up over the hump that we created. Okay, that works. Let's go to the next flap because I think I'm going to have to trim it down as well. Yeah, I'm going to trim this down to 8 5/8. I'll be right back. Okay, this slipped. I'm going to have to snip this. I don't know if I like that. I don't like it. That's going to catch. It's going to tear. I am so sorry, you guys. I need to cut a fresh one. I'll be right back. I would start the video over if I wasn't so far into it at this point. Just a second. I'm lining things up here. And excuse my scoreboard, but I do need to bring this up here. Just a minute. This was a 1/2 inch score. Okay, better. Let's line this up. I have some of the most hilarious followers. I got a message from YouTube. This gal's making an album and she just finished it. And I had put a page on upside down and I had to reverse it. And she saw ahead of time during the video that I was putting this thing on upside down. And she said she was yelling at me. You're putting it on upside down. And I had to laugh. I thought that was so funny. Okay, so I got to trim this down as well, obviously. So I'm going to make my tick marks. These are going to be quick and easy. And round my corners. Now, I have been using a black ink. And I'm just rubbing the sponge along the edge. I don't really want a lot of black coming up in here, so I'm just hiding the white edge is all I'm doing. Okay, so you can see that this is the piece that I'm using on the inside. And the reverse side of it is this bold and beautiful piece, which we played with earlier. This one's got the moon with the lady and the clocks, and we've got some moonflowers here. So you're going to trim it to fit so that it just sits in here. And then there is a piece, this piece here, that I cut these images off of on both left and right sides. And they're going to come in here and just act as a very long tuck. So I'm going to go ahead and put this side together. I love this side, but you can only use it so many times in an album. And so I put a 1/4 inch tape. I backed this on gold cardstock, and I'm just going to offset it. I don't want to bring it all the way up to here. I want a little bit of pattern behind here on this edge. So now we have a nice little tuck. So if we move on to this side, I need to make my mark, line this up, make my tick, round my corner, whoops, make sure it's going in the right direction. Okay, let's try this again. And then here's the other image. They're beautiful. And I'm just going to kind of center it, just canter it off here just a little bit. And there we go. So this is what we have here on the inside. It's all right. Now our next, oh, we got to cover the back. We got to cover these. So this is the piece that I use. It's out of one of the 12 by 12s. That's what I wanted to say. And it trims across like this. This is one of those shorter ones that don't quite measure out like you would if you were putting on a full 12 by 12 because you've got a pattern piece here across the bottom. This had these statements across them, across the bottom. There was a couple of them. So I've trimmed this to fit. And then obviously on the reverse side, we'll get to her eventually, if she fits into my program. Okay, line this up. Lay it down. And then I made a pocket for this side. And I'm going to have to trim this down. So I'm going to line it up here, and I'm going to make tick marks on both ends so that they balance. Always shift with. Sorry about that. I had several thick layers I had to cut through. So that means I'm going to need to trim this down a hair. I want the bottom piece, so I will trim off at the top. Okay, so this piece measures at 1 3/8 of an inch, and it is going to go here on this outer edge. Now I've used, if I can find it, there it is, 3/8 of an inch tape, 3/8, 1/8 of an inch tape to go around to maximize the amount of the pocket that there is. Okay, this will come all the way to the edge on this one. And then this is the piece I pulled out of my scraps. It's got the moonflower, it's got this goldish orange leaf moonflower here, and then it's got this striped section here across the bottom. And that's what I'm going to use here. And this stays in pattern with using the 12 by 12 that we pulled out early on for our strips. Get rid of my pencil marks. All right, so that's done. And then this side here is the hot air balloon. I just lost what the name of it was. Okay, so let's go ahead and I think I'm running out of glue. So I'm going to be kind of sparing on my glue here, so I don't have to refill it with all of you watching. Now I'm not putting any decorative edge on these internal pages. I'm just rounding their corners. All right, now we have our next external page. And you can see already we've got quite a bit of buildup right here. So we're going to make a gusset in order to wrap around so that it will encompass all of this. I need to make sure. Oh, now these I cut right. Interesting. Okay. We're going to measure in at 5 3/4 of an inch across. And then we're going to be at that 8 5/8 in the height. You're going to come in here and you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch, and then you're going to score it at 5/8 of an inch. Wrap it around, keep it in place, and you will see when you line this up that the edge here is lining right up to that 5/8 of an inch score line. That allows for the buildup to actually get centered between the score lines. Now this one is going to measure at 6 3/4 of an inch across by your 8 5/8 in your height, and you're going to come in again and you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch, and you're going to score it at 5/8 of an inch. Wrap it, hold it in place, and again you will see that this edge is lined right up with that 5/8 score line. And then you're going to push her over there. Okay. Now, before we go any further, we have one last piece of cardstock we need to cut. And you can see it's going to have a magnet on it. All right, this is going to be a top flap. Goodness sakes, I scared myself there. Did I do something wrong? Hold on. I did. Oh my goodness. I hope you didn't do that the way I did that. I put this on the wrong side. Now, that follower is going to yell at me. Charlie, you're putting it on the wrong side. Okay, very careful. And I got to pull this up. I cannot believe I did this. And I'm tearing it, dead blast it. Bear with me. I cannot believe I did this. Just gently pull as I'm using the undo to lift the tape. Get rid of that. That one's on the correct side, so I only did that to one side. I can't believe it. Now to get this stuff to dry so I can put some fresh tape on it. I don't believe I did that. Mistakes do happen. Okay. All right, so I'm on the correct side. Okay. That went over so much better. All right, now we're going to get to this piece here, throwing things around. It is going to come over the top of this, and it's going to encompass everything that we have just built. So this is going to measure in length at 9 1/4 inches by 6 1/8, and then you're going to score it up here at the top at 1/2 inch and at 5/8 of an inch. Put your tape on your underside, and then we're going to center it as best as we can. And then lift this off. And again, because of the bulk, you're going to see that this is going to line up with that 5/8 score line. And that allows this to actually encompass, you have bulk here, so ignore it. It'll tape down once we get it in. But this is holding everything together. Now, I want to get this magnet set before I put my decorative paper on. Okay, so just make sure it's kind of straight. Commit that. Ta-da. And then just for good measure, I'm going to add some tape. Okay, so for the underside, you have this on the reverse, and this is the back side. No, wrong. These go down here, Charlie. Okay. What am I doing? I've got myself all Twitter-pated now here. What am I? Here we go. Good grief. This is the piece I picked, and the reverse side is this pattern. So we're going to line her up, and we're just going to glue this in. And then this side we're going to tape, and it is this side here. We're going to get this all lined up here. Gotta act like I don't know what I'm doing, Jimini's. And then I made a pocket. I used that paper to create a nice element. And then there is a tag that has this scroll and ribbon. I cut the scroll and ribbon out to put it right here. So I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to glue this in. Oops. I'm just trying to lighten my mood here. I get frustrated when I make mistakes. All right, I'm going to pull this closer to me so that I'm going to tape this because I've got a magnet here. With the moons at the top, all right, now I can pull rest. I put a piece in the center when I've got long pieces like this, so I can use them. It acts as a stabilizer so the piece of paper isn't moving all over the place. All right, now I've got to add a little bit of tape to this. And to maximize the space for tucking, I'm going to use 1/8 of an inch tape. I really shouldn't be taping over this pattern paper. I should be doing it on the glass. Just my luck, it would stick and I'd be making a mess again. All right. Now I'm going to pull this one all the way to the edge. And now I'm going to glue this in. I just love this piece. There we go. And then we're going to glue on the scroll. Okay, there we go. All right, now let's get down here and let's do these. We're going to go back to the inside pages. So here on the inside, so you have a piece of paper in the 12 by 12s, has moons, some zodiac signs here in the back, but this is the side I wanted. It has a lot of character to it. Get my pencil mark off of there. So I trimmed this to fit on this side first, and then I trimmed to fit over here on this side. So staying over here with this piece, you know what, I'm going to tape it on simply because I'm close to running out and I just don't want to have to fill a glue bottle. I'll use it on the smaller pieces. Okay, we're going to line this up, and I want to be mindful of the score line we've got right there. Get that thing centered. Roll that excess back. All right. Now, the reverse side of this is where I showed you we had some moons. And I am going to make a pocket that's going to sit in down here. And then I used another strip of that beautiful paper. And then I cut this out, and it says, "To the moon and back." I think we say that to our loved ones a lot. Okay, so I'm going to set it here first, right along that score line, and then walk it over to the end. And then this is where I will use some glue. I'm not going to waste tape on these. Oh, I just realized I didn't do something. I did not put my die here, and I intended to do, oh, look at this. I have one that's pre-cut, so I will show you what I do. So this is my edge. This is my edge. And we're going to come in here, line this up, straighten it out. And then I'm going to take some tape. I'm going to put it on here. And I'm just going to lift these corners because I haven't burnished them yet, so they should sit down there. And there I go, I'm in. Get rid of my pencil mark. Okay. Now we'll put this on. And then we will glue this on here. All right. And then we're going to come over here, and then we're going to glue this piece in. And when I cut this, you can see that there is this design right here. So this was the edge I cut off, just in case you're wondering. And I'm going to tape again. Sneak up on that score line, lay this across. We're almost done. And then this pocket, you know what? Did I give you the measurement of this other pocket? I probably didn't, so hold on. 2 inches by 6. I got myself flustered here, I forgot. I apologize. This one's 5 1/8 across by 2 inches. And again, I'm using this moon piece to match. And I'm going to sit it here again, and I'm going to walk it to the corner. And then we'll glue this piece in. And then this piece. Now I did not cut an element for this. You can if you want to. So now we're going to close these and we'll get to our final pieces here. So this is what I cut. And here's the statement, something inside her was made of moonflowers. And if that's what these are, they're absolutely stunning. So I am going to, I think I've got enough glue. I'm going to go ahead and glue this in. Now I didn't put anything on this. I just love this page. I think it's gorgeous. I think the flowers are gorgeous. But here is where you can put a photo here, or you can put a memo card down here across the bottom and leave the flowers as they are. And then the front of this, I will tape because I've got a magnet sitting there at the base. I guess I could have put that up a little bit more, but oh well. Oops, bring this to me just a little bit. Sorry, I've got a little extra tape here and it's shiny and I'm just rolling it under. Okay, we're done. Now I did add a little bit of Wink of Stella right here. So here we've got a tuck up here. And then we've got our flaps, photo mats. Let's dig out the big tape and let's get ready to put it in our album. Throwing things. This ended up being a big build-up. Make sure you get your bubbles worked out and your tape down against the paper. And then this is going to sit in here right on the edge, like so. So I'm going to lift this side and these. Now I am going to turn this so that I can see 3 of the 4 sides. And then we'll peel off the rest of the paper. We have some pocket pages. I'm going to wait until we are done with the album. I'll do them at the very tail end because I don't know if I will have enough to actually cover the entire insert. So I will wait, and if not, then I'll just end up covering like a 1/2 inch strip on either end. Get that well burnished in there. Okay, we survived. That was a long 53 minutes. I apologize. I'll see you on the next build. Bye-bye.